stage, and we can hear her, which is good. So we're going from kind of virtual worlds and all quite digital to something else that's also quite digital, but I think not very virtual. So Jackie's going to be bringing us into the bringing the digital into the real world, I think, probably. And I think we've got the video up, or slides, video ready to go. And so, without further ado, I shall hand over to you, Jackie, who's going to tell us about pen plotters and creative code.
So maybe a bit retro, really. Pen plotters are a bit like printers, but instead of printing small dots, they move a pen around and draw lines on the piece of paper. So it's more like handwriting. And I'm going to talk about how I found them a fun way to use code, and a bit of maths, and something about lots of machines that I've seen for the first time. Here's some previous pen plotting devices we've had at Does Liverpool. The one on the left is a polograph, which draws on a wall, and here we have some examples of some early pen plotters that were used for architectural drawings. The one on the right was used for business presentations in the late 80s, and a little bit later than that. And they use a little carousel of lights. This is Vera Molnar, who's a early algorithmic artist, and she used pen plotters generally in the early days in black and white, but here you can see she's used algorithms to affect the view of a lot of different squares. Last year, we were doing some dyeing in the natural dyes in the Liverpool Wearable Tech Group, and I was interested in using batik, so I bought this pen plotter here. It seemed very easy, but it wasn't as easy with Linux. Alex took this picture of me and I'm looking relatively happy, so things must have been going better than with the other things. And we did eventually get it working. Here's some G code that is the actual code that's used to run the plotters. I had to look at this and change it to work with the different plotters that I was using, and produced stuff that would actually run them. Here's an example that I produced using Inkscape, using some masking fluid pens to produce these simple designs. This one seems to be going on for longer than the others. And here's an example I downloaded from the P5JS site and ran. And so there's lots of examples there. P5JS is a library for JavaScript, which allows you to develop different things. Anyway, I got bored with that Alex draw because it is A4 sized, and started again with A3 with a laser engraver that belonged to Russ, who's one of the other people at Does Liverpool, and adapted that so that it would produce drawings as well. Here I created some designs with P5JS, and these were simple spirals. You can enter the code and produce mathematical things. It's quite easy to go and look at websites and find mathematical formulae to use. Daniel Schiffman's a person who's done a lot of tutorials in P5JS, and that's really useful. It's worth looking up if you're interested in that sort of thing. I was also able to send off the design for a t-shirt and get the same design printed on a t-shirt, not using the pen plotter. But you can draw on t-shirts with pen plotters, and they come out really well. So I think that's something I'll be looking into more in future. These are very smooth, even on quite a rough fabric here. I then looked into this design with hearts, also based on the spiral design that's earlier on. I changed from degrees to radians, and it went from the picture on the left to the one on the right, which I really like. So I carried on looking at that. I actually got some prints produced by Poto Studios, and in a way I quite like those better than the pen plotted ones, because in this particular design there's areas where there's a lot of ink and it looks better. If you haven't got a pen plotter but you have got a craft cutter, they can do this too, so that might be an option for people who've got one of those at home. they take pens of various different sizes. I got Karen Scott, who's I'm working on a different project to do this. Then basically a lot of other machines work in a very similar way. So laser cutters, 3D printers, embroidery machines, vinyl cutters, and CNC routers, which we've got a lot of here at Does Liverpool. I'm going back to my original idea of using wax to do batik for natural dyes, and I'm going to build something to go with the existing pen plotter that we've made. So more to come. I think there's lots of opportunity for other people to come into Does Liverpool and work with these, with maybe more freehand sketching, that sort of thing. I've mainly looked at sort of more geometric things, so hopefully some other people will come and use it.
Excellent.